Okay, Aaron Parker, Parker Safes and Vaults, Shelbyville, Tennessee. Um, we'll have a look today at some Rhino Metals vault doors. So Rhino Metals is based out of Caldwell, Idaho, and I've actually been out to the plant, and it's just a really nice, well-run plant, very clean. They've got all the high-tech stuff in there, big brakes and CNC machines and all that. So it's kind of it was a great tour, and I got to see a lot of how all this stuff comes together. So they're safes and vault doors. But what we have here today are the Ironworks vault doors. So that's the old timey look, the all the steel rivets and all that kind of stuff. And then they also make just their standard vault doors, right? So same sizes, but it'll just be without all the rivets and everything in different colors, right? So all their textured colors and their gloss colors you can do just on a regular vault door. So as far as the sizing goes, though, uh, this is an inswing. So I've got an inswing here and an outswing, and I thought it'd be a good time to do a video so you can kind of see, compare and contrast the two. The inswing only comes in one size, and that's an 8240. And the outswing comes in four sizes, a 30, 35, 40, and 45. So this one here is a 35, if that helps for reference, right? And so there are some differences between the models though. So for instance, on the outswing door, there's a 1/4 inch plate here, but it's on the outside of the door. There's a 1/4 inch plate in this door, but it's in the core of it. So the outer skin here is a little different. It's not like the outswing. So we've got a thinner panel here. The 1/4 inch is sandwiched in there. Okay. And this door needs to be attached using a clamshell method. And what I mean by that, I'll show you in a second. We'll take the camera. But the outer frame, so this whole portion on the inside, this big U-shaped piece on both of these, unbolts and goes into the vault room, right? So you put that in there before you really, first thing we do is check everything with a level and tape measure and make sure that everything's going to fit. After that, we start getting the door ready. We'll put the inner pieces, the clamshell parts, inside the vault room, right? So that goes in first, and then we just put the door into place, whether we've got to stand it up or slide it or whatever. We'll put the door into place, and it'll go up against the wall like this. So this stops it right here, and so it's only the knife edge goes in. Then you make that U-shaped piece up on the inside and draw bolt it all together, and that's how that attaches. On the inswing, that's really all you can do. All right, so you have the clamshell method of attachment only. On the outswing, we can do the clamshell, but then we can also anchor it in place, and there's holes around the jamb to do that, right? You just anchor it in with concrete anchors. So, or you could do, you could only do that like we've had some instances where maybe the ceiling height is different or it's in a corner or something. The outside wall is great, but the inner, there's just a corner or another wall perpendicular where it doesn't let us put that inner piece in on an outswing. So in that case, we can just anchor it through the jamb, and that works fine. But or you can do both, right? So give it a little bit more security. But really, once you have that clamshell in place, the door's not going anywhere. It's very very well designed, and yeah, they're well made doors. These both have the, let's see, where do I start from? Weights. How about that? So on this in-swing door, it's going to weigh 755 pounds, I think it is. And then these guys go, I think that 35 is 1,000, yeah, 1,035 pounds. And then the other models fluctuate from about 900 to 1180, I want to say. And then, yeah, we got an airplane coming. There we go. So when you're getting ready to do a vault room, regardless of which door you're going to buy or where you buy it from or anything, figure that out. Figure your model out first. Your manufacturer and your model, because all the rough openings are different. It's crazy how hard this is, right? So we're always, we have to cut concrete or we have to fur something in. If you can establish, what door you want before you ever build your vault room, you'll be way ahead. And of course, build the rough opening right to that spec of that door. So at Rhino Metals or Rhino, yeah, Rhino, I think it's just rhino.com. Um, on their website, they have all the specs that you would need, right? So rhinosafe.com is what it is. But they have all the specs on what you would need for each model door as it relates to the rough opening, right? The wall thickness, there's minimums there and maximums, and then your width and height. If you get that all dialed in up front, uh, it'll save you a lot. It'll save us a lot, or your installer a lot, because it's crazy how hard that is. It's not like a regular door. Like on a house, you have a 3.0 door, a 36-inch door, 3.0 door, standard exterior door. Everybody frames them the same. You're done deal. It's one and done, right? These are all different. Rhino's different than the American Security. American Security is different. They're all different. Fort Knox, whatever. Just who knows? Stack-ons. They're all different. So beware of that. All right, enough on that. Sorry, but it's important. Okay. Well, let's have a look here. I think I've covered. What else would you want to know? Yeah, 3 hinges on it. Let's see. Let me just grab the camera and we'll just get going here. Okay, bear with me there. Let's look at the outswing first. Okay, so got the outswing door. Got the rivets around there. There's 3 hinges. The bottom on these, the threshold part is different on each model. So let's look at that because that's a question I get a lot. And then we'll go over all the other features as far as egress and that kind of stuff here in a moment. But on the bottom, on the outswing door, it's a relatively thin panel. I'd say that's about 10 gauge steel. And it's just a kind of a flat threshold. I don't know if you can see, there is a little bevel to it right there, but it bevels up about 3/4 of an inch and then it's flat to here. And all this piece is a piece of tubular steel, just so this fire seal can be attached. That's really all that is. And on the inside, it's just a little bit longer version of the front. So if you're going to go, on top of tile or something like that, that should be fine. It should be able to just sit on there, right? And then if you dropped it down in, right, we're going to get pretty close on the clearance here. So if you drop if you had tile or some kind of flooring, just keep this in mind. You might want to raise it up to the height of your flooring and just let that sit directly on the flooring. I hope that helps. Let's look real quick while I'm on that topic at the Inswing. I'll try to pull that open. I said Inswing and tried to pull it out. Okay. Okay, so this is a little bit different. So you would have just a little bit more clearance on the outside, but not on the inside, because there is a difference in elevation between this. This is about 1 inch, and then we have about 4.5 inches, and then this piece is just the flat, right? So that'll be flat on the ground right there. So just step in here and show you. All right, so we kind of have a flat piece there, flat piece right there. It's all flat up underneath, and then I don't know how well I'm doing that, but anyway, then this would be a little bit higher on the outside. And again, it's mainly a place to put that fire seal. Okay. All right, well, let's just go ahead in here. So, well, look at that. Like I say, this jamb, this is where this little trough here is where all the bolts go. And we do have more bolts on the Inswing. There's 21 bolts around this door. And don't ask me why, but on the outswing, it's a little bit different. I think there's 16 bolts around that. So the spacing's a little bit different. Right? And we do have bolts up on the top, but no bolts on the bottom, right? There's just not room for them on either door. Just check this. Yeah. See that? I'm reaching pretty high. But anyway, there are bolts up on the top. Okay. So there's an Inswing, and we'll go ahead and shut it here. And all that racket is just the way the pallet is made. It kind of moves a little bit as we're shutting the door. So they shouldn't make a bunch of racket, any kind of noise like that when they're installed, right? Okay, so what you have on the inside are going to be very similar as far as the egress system and all of that. They do have glass relockers, so we've got glass in there, and then also a hard plate, and a mechanical relocker here. So right here are the instructions. So if you get locked in for some reason, so let's go to this. So if you get locked in, internal release, it's going to be all the instructions are right there, and that just hinges around this little guy. And then if you wanted to use it as a panic room option, that hinges around this right here. And it's real simple, but you can't get locked into these. You can just, I had that open. That's all you do to get out. You have to pull this back. I can't do it with one hand, but then you would pop this little pin down or this little plate down, and then it basically bypasses the locking system entirely. So pretty well designed system. You can use it either, the panic room, if somebody were to lock you in, you can get out. And then if some, bad guy was out there, that's where the panic room option comes in. You can lock yourself in. And then at that point, even if they know the combination on the outside, they can't get in. Right? And then this is just a magnetic door here. So just hinges and hits. And speaking of that, if you're ever going to transport these laying down flat, take this door off, right? We learned that the hard way. Luckily, we didn't lose the door, but it will come off of these little barrel hinges here and just pop off. So keep that in mind. But the cast iron wheel on the inside, and same thing on the outside. All right, let's see. I'm not sure what we haven't talked about yet. Let's just shut this door and we'll look at this. All right, so when you pull the door shut behind you, and then you turn the handle, and then if you wanted to lock yourself in, you could just hit this little blue tab. Or just pull it off of there. You bend this down and let that fall into place. And then same thing. If you want to get out, just pull this back, push this little tab down. It's hinged right here. There's a little pin right there as a point, and then it just moves right there. And so this is part of the deal associated with the glass relocker and all that. So if somebody was trying to drill into this, they break that glass, it's going to fire a different relocker, make it a little harder to get into. A lot harder to take it. All right. This is that inner frame. So that whole piece, which is fairly heavy, it's all 1/4 inch steel. That whole piece needs to go in the room first, right? And this frame is a little different than the Inswing. So the Outswing door has a 1/4 inch frame, right? So that's all 1/4 inch. And the Inswing, same thing. It's a little smaller flange, right? But that whole piece gets unbolted by all these little bolts and goes in the room and then bolts back on, right? And so this is 10 gauge steel here. So this little, this frame is 10 gauge steel, whereas the Outswing, like I said, is 1/4 inch. So that's kind of the big difference between the two. But the way they have everything designed with these bends in it, I mean, it's a very stout, rigid frame. So I don't think that would be a factor as far as any kind of security issues or anything like that. But yeah, so there you go. There's a look at an Inswing on the inside, and a look at the Outswing. And as always, if you have any questions, oh, I know. These are about, it specs them out, but I believe that's about 4 inches. And speaking of specking things out, right? Go to that rhinosafe.com if you've got any questions on dimensions or any of that kind of stuff, because that will give you like shop drawings, and you can look at all that stuff and figure all the dimensions out from those drawings. So it's an easy way to do it, and they're just available on their website in the vault door section. All right. Well, hey, Aaron Parker Safes and Vaults. I appreciate you having a look. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll try to get them answered. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, man, give us a like and share it and all that stuff. So it does help us out. All right. Take care.